Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, girls. So far we have done two theories. One is Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development, and second is Erik Erikson's theory of psychosocial development. Now coming to the third theory, which is known as theory of moral development, given by Lawrence Kohlberg. He presented his theory in 1958, and he was basically you can say, follower of Jean Piaget, and he extended his work. Now, his method of studying the moral development among children was that he used to tell children different stories, and then later on asked questions related to those stories. The very famous story that Mr. Kohlberg had shown to the children was Mr. Heinz's dilemma. Mr. Heinz was a person, and this is the story, and his wife was suffering from a cancer, and he had to buy a drug for the recovery of her wife, but that drug was very expensive, and he had no money to buy that particular drug. There was a chemist in his city who had that drug, but he was not willing to give that drug to Mr. Heinz on cheaper rates. So what Mr. Heinz did, that he stole that drug from the store. Then Kohlberg asked children of various ages, different questions, that was Mr. Heinz right? Was the chemist right? So in this way he analyzed the moral development among children. Now, before going into the detail of the theory, first of all, let us discuss what is morality. Morality is derived from a Latin word which means manner, character, proper behavior. It means the principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong, or good and bad behavior. Distinction means difference. When we are able to understand that this thing is right and this is wrong, this is moral, this is immoral, this is good, this is bad, this is morality. Fine. It is the beginning of the development of our ethics. When we are understanding that what are the ethical rules and principles and guidelines while living in a society, then that is morality. Now, what is moral development? It is also an aspect of development. If you remember chapter 1, we studied in that chapter various aspects of development, just like cognitive development, social development, intellectual development, psychological development, physical development. Fine. So it is also an aspect, same like those aspects. So it is a process through which children develop proper attitude and behaviors toward other people in a society based on social and cultural norms, rules and laws. So when side by side the whole process of development, when children also develop in this regard, that how they have to live in that particular society, in their society, what are the rules and regulations of living in their society, which is basically taught to them by their parents, by their teachers, by their other elders, and all this is basically happening through the process of socialization, then this is the development of morality among children. Moral development requires the individual to understand social values and mold his behavior accordingly. Whether we like social value or not, it's not according to our personal likes or dislikes. We have to follow those because the whole society is following. That is why it is written that we have to mold our behavior accordingly, whether we like or do not like. But while living in a society, we accept the rules and regulations and laws that are existing in that society, and in this way we mold our behavior accordingly. I have told you about these things that Jean Piaget talked about moral reasoning for the first time in 1932. Kohlberg also analyzed moral reasoning proposed by Piaget, and he presented his theory in 1958. Now this is basically the postulates of his theory. Postulates are the main features of his theory. The very first goes that every individual goes through these stages step by step. Fine. So moral development, just like other aspects of development, is also a gradual change in morality, in the development of morality. Fine. In every individual. These changes are common to almost all cultures. So all cultures in this world, they have this feature or this aspect of development, and almost it is same. Fine, because the ethical principles are to a larger extent similar in all cultures. Every stage is more complex and comprehensive than the previous stage. So the initial stages are very simpler ones, but the later on stages, they become more difficult and comprehensive, more wider in their meaning and understanding. The individual can be at one stage of these levels at a time. So at any time of the developmental period, the individual may be going through any levels of these moral development. Now these are the stages and levels of Kohlberg's theory. The levels of the theory are pre-conventional level, conventional level, post-conventional level. Now each level is comprised of two stages. So pre-conventional level is further divided into stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 is obedience and punishment orientation, and stage 2 is instrumental orientation. Then comes level 2, which is conventional level, again divided into two stages, stage 3 and stage 4. Stage 3 is good boy and nice girl, and stage 4 is law and order. Then the third level is post-conventional level. Again, two stages in this level. One is, and these two stages are stage 5 and stage 6. Stage 5 is social contract orientation, and stage 6 is universal ethical principle orientation. Now the very first level is pre-conventional level. This level is from 4 to 10 years of age. Now here we do not have personal code of morality. Instead, our moral code is shaped by the standards of adults and consequences of following and breaking the rule. Now here, in which the children, they are very at their childhood years, initial years, they don't have any personal meaning of morality. They do not understand that what basically morality is. They don't have their personal meaning attached to word morality. Rather, they understand this concept by seeing other people, that how do they behave in that particular setting or in the society. And if we do this particular thing, then what will be the consequences? If we are going to break this rule, then what will be the consequence of it? So through this conditioning of behavior, they understand that what is morality. So here morality is very much external. It is lying in the outside world, from the behavior of other people, from the consequences of their own actions, consequences that are shown to them by other people. They understand that what is right and what is wrong. If a child uses abusive language and the parent scolds the child, then that scolding, which is the consequence of any behavior, shows the child that using this language is bad. Otherwise, child does not understand that what is meant by this abusive language, or whether he or she use it or not. So morality at the pre-conventional level is very much external. It is lying in the outside world. They understand right and wrong through the eyes of other people and through the actions of other people. Now, pre-conventional level has two stages, stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 is punishment orientation and stage 2 is reward orientation. Punishment orientation. Now, morality at this stage refers to conformity of what is ordained by the authority. Conformity means accepting, ordained, giving order. So here the child understands that this is the order of any authority. That authority can be a parent, that can be a teacher, or any other elderly individual. So if the authority says that do this thing because this is right and don't do this thing because this is wrong, then they accept that thing because the consequences of doing that are not good. So in this way morality starts developing. Fine. When they accept what other people tell them about their right and wrong behavior. Child is egocentric and believes that other people think and feel the same as he. You might be knowing this term egocentric with reference to Piaget's theory that child at this age is unable to understand the viewpoint of other individuals. He upholds his own viewpoint and acts accordingly. And even when we try to advise him that this is the way of doing thing or this is the right action or right deed, he is still unable to understand. Fine. So at this stage, the child's thinking is very much egocentric. So that is why they cannot understand if we will use a lot of lecture method regarding right and wrong to the child. So the consequences basically of any of their action, they basically determine and tell them that what is right. So the child abides by the rules to avoid punishment. Punishment is the consequence of any action, right? And they follow the rules just in order to avoid that consequence of punishment. Second stage is instrumental orientation. Instrumental is, the word instrumental means what is rewarding, what is pleasing. Fine. So this is reward orientation. Now child begins to understand that others have different points of view. That the stage of egocentric thinking is to a larger extent over now. Fine. And they are able to understand the viewpoints of other individuals as well. They follow rules or cooperate with peers conditionally. What is meant by conditionally? Now, their cooperation and following rules is based upon conditions. You will do that, then I will give you this thing. You will play with me, then I will give you my toy. Fine. So this is conditional relationship. Then they understand that if they will do right action, right deed, then they will be given reward. So that is why this is reward orientation. In order to get something pleasurable, in order to get reward of something, they follow or do that particular behavior. A sense of personal interest develops at this stage. So a sense of personal interest develops at this stage. Personal interest is getting something rewarding. So it is conditional. Why it becomes conditional? Because personal interest is there. Children, they have their relationship with other peers. They do that particular behavior because they are going to get something which is of their personal interest in return. So here it is basically instrumental, rewarding for them to do something. Second level of his theory is conventional level. Now conventional level is from 10 years to 13 years. Now here the children, they begin to internalize the moral standards. Now they begin to understand that what basically morality is. As in the previous level, they do not understand it. They just follow it because of the consequences of their actions. But here they understand that what moral standards are. They internalize, they in their own mind, they try to develop and understand the meaning of moral standards. They give priority of creating good impression before others. Now they understand that behaving in a good manner is very important because it is going to have their good impact upon other individuals. They have clear concepts of rules and regulations, approval and disapproval, values and social laws. So they understand that if they are going to do it, then they will not get the approval. Fine, because this is not the value of a society or rule of a society. So they develop the concept regarding these things. So it has two stages, stage 3 and 4. 3 is good child orientation and stage 4 is law and order orientation. Now, good child orientation. So the child performs the actions, those actions which are approved by the society. His personal image in front of others, it becomes very important, and the child tries to form a positive image in front of other people. Child begins to understand that selfishness is bad. Now, this is the stage where they have peers, they have a lot of interpersonal relationships with their friends. So they understand that selfishness is bad, because through this selfishness, they will get disapproval of their friends. Fine. Interpersonal conformity becomes important. Now they have different groups related to their school, while studying, while playing games. They understand that within each group there is a set of rules and they have to follow it. This is interpersonal conformity. Their friend, while playing, they wear this particular type of dress, then because that is the identity of their group, then they also try to wear that particular type of dress. So this is interpersonal conformity, conformity within a particular group, conformity with your peers and other friends. That becomes very important. And in order to get your approval of your group, you conform to that particular group. Support, cooperation and assistance extended by others is considered desirable at this stage. So that is why children, they start helping each other, sharing their things with each other, because they think that this is desirable. Stage 4 is law and order orientation. Now they have at this stage clear concept of right and wrong. Now they realize this thing, that right relates to the social value. It is a social value. It is the custom that to behave in a right manner. It becomes their responsibility to respect authority and conform to social organization. They understand that their school is a social organization. Now, this social organization has certain rules and they have to follow it. They understand that their family is a social organization and this is the way of living in the family. So, they follow it. Individual thinks that law cannot be violated. He believes that everyone should follow tradition, norms and customs. Fine. So it is very much this law and order and this right and wrong learning. It very much it becomes in the child that it is according to, it should be according to the law, which is told to them by their authority. Then the third is post-conventional level. Now this is the last and highest stage of moral development, which starts from the adolescent until the adulthood years it moves. Now here individual begins to formulate abstract and moral laws. Fine. Now the very initial stage, the morality was very much concrete in terms of consequences. Then in the conventional level, it is developed to some extent, internalized. Now here at the post-conventional level, they have developed their abstract and moral laws, their own laws. Okay? Now individual develops the ability of rising above the social traditions and values. Now they start thinking that this is the social value. No, what should be above than this social value and tradition? What is right and wrong according to their own sense? They think morality in this way. It has again two stages, stage 5 social contract orientation and stage 6 ethical principle orientation. Now social contract orientation. Now here human rights become important over laws. Human rights are very important. Laws, if they are violating human rights, then those laws are not right. A person who is at this stage, he is thinking then human right, humanity is above all laws and regulations. The criterion of everybody's right is consensus by all. This is the right of everyone. This should be accepted. Consensus means agreement. This should be the agreement among every individual that we have to take care of the right of other individuals. Collective interest becomes important. Now, their own personal interest does not matter. They don't think about their personal interest. Rather, they think about the interest of the whole community, of the whole nation, of the whole humanity. Maintaining social system, respecting law, safeguarding human rights are distinctive features of this stage. You might have heard the names of Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela. These were the people who worked for the collective interest, and even they faced very harsh consequences of these behaviors. But still, they uphold their ideals. They follow their this conscience that this is right and this should be accepted by everyone. Stage 6 is ethical principle orientation. Now, individual's morality comes to be associated with his conscience at this stage. Conscience, what is right in front of your eyes, in front of your mind. What do we call it in Urdu is zamir. Fine. That zamir becomes very important. That conscience become very important. If laws they are going against the conscience, then individual is going to get agree and follow the conscience and not the law. So if we look back and recall the story of Mr. Hines, then the individual who is at this stage will think that Mr. Hines was right. Fine. Because stealing was not above the saving the life of any individual. Saving the life of any individual is the basic human right which should be followed. Fine. Good or bad decisions are made according to the conscience. Individual gives importance to justice, respect for humanity, and equality. These are the abstract principles which are learned very later in life. An individual develops their own meaning of what justice is. Not what the courts say this is justice. No, they have their own meaning of justice. They have their own meaning of equality. Upholding self-made principles enable him to think high of himself and others. Fine. So these principles, they uphold these principles, just like I have given you the examples of Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Abdul Sattar Idi. Fine. And then they start thinking good of other people in the society. Fine. So till stage 6 is the basic theory given by Kohlberg, and according to Kohlberg, very few people they go to the stage 6 of his theory. Very few people they have those ideals of saving the life, of working for the humanity, justice, equality. Fine. And even very few people they move toward the stage 7, which is cosmic orientation, which is above the stage 6. Very few people manage to reach the stage. Individual at the stage thinks that universal rules of morality transcend every kind of law and boundary. Transcend means they go beyond. Every law and boundary is less than the universal rule of morality. Fine. What morality is? What morality is in front of our God? Fine. What morality is in front of the saint people who have spent their life for the cause of humanity. It is above all and above every law and boundary. Everyone should have access to justice, honor, basic needs, irrespective of creed and caste. So, this is what was said by our Holy Prophet in his last sermon during Hajj. The same thing, that justice, equality, honor, it should be given to every individual irrespective of their creed and caste. Fine. But very few people they think accordingly. So This was all about the Kohlberg's theory of moral development. Inshallah, in the next lecture, we will be doing what Quran and Hadith says about this. Okay? Till then, Allah Hafiz.